Welcome to Paranormal Gateway Partalk. I'm the Scott Wise, and our special guest tonight is C.L. Thomas, paranormal author and fine art spirit artist. She travels widely every year as a fine arts photographer and writer, exploring various afterlife research, OBEs, metaphysics, folklore, lectures, and events. C.L. does spirit art upon request. She is the author of the haunting memoir Dances with Demons and the acclaimed historical fiction novel Speaking to Shadows. CL is creator of and host the Small Town Tales podcast. She wrote many articles and maintains a blog on legends, folklore, magic, and paranormal stories. So without further ado, let's welcome welcome to the show. Hello.
Hi, Scott. Thank you so much for having me.
Sure. Jack Martoon, everything?
Yeah.
Oh, Chairman. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's start off with you introduce yourself and tell us how you got into paranormal and some of the experiences you had.
So the way I got into paranormal is kind of a long, drawn out story. I'm one of those that started out when I was 2. I started seeing spirits. It's the first memory I've ever had is of a spirit in my room. And I would see like balls of light. I saw a man in my room a couple times. Um, it's really interesting. And, oftentimes when you hear these stories from other people that they're very fearful and afraid and they have this long drawn out story about how fearful they were, that wasn't the case for me. It was more they were comforting spirits that was in my room, but I didn't really understand what was going on at the time. I thought it was normal. I didn't realize that it was abnormal until much later in life. But I think it was like 6 or 7 when finally my mom was like, "Yeah, you can't really talk about that, or don't mention this. No, there wasn't a lady in your room," that sort of thing. So it was very different though. I wasn't afraid of it. It was very much just a part of my life for the longest time. But there wasn't really anyone to talk to get any kind of insight on what this was. I didn't know what it was. I remember I used to do a lot of remote viewing at a young age. Didn't really know what that was at that time. I didn't realize I was doing it. Um, when I moved to Nashville, this was during my college years, I ended up in a paranormal experience that completely flipped that around. This was a negative entity of some sort in the house. It was attached to the property, and it was poltergeist like. It would throw stuff. I got scratched. Just a big series of different things would happen. I lost a significant other over it. I had a roommate. Me and my roommate had some problems for a while over it, and then I ultimately ended up with cancer. So I believe that this entity made me sick. So it kind of changed my view on the paranormal, and that experience actually woke me back up to the paranormal, to where I started doing paranormal investigations and researching what it was that I was going through. So this has been a lifelong journey for me.
All right. And there's your book just about the man. It had like a hat man
Mm-hmm.
because I was at investigation at a theater, George Little Theater, and you might know. No, you didn't know York, but just a little theater. And back then we had to use the VCR tapes, so you had to
Mhm.
scroll through stuff. And something went by real quick. I was like, "What the hell was that?" Right? So I had to stop, start, stop, start, stop, start. I actually caught the Hat Man in like the little things. I had pictures somewhere. When
I
you were talking about this seeing something in your room. I don't talk much about back then what happened to it. Um, Me and my brother used to share bunk beds, and when I was younger, and another room over to where my sister were. But I woke up and I saw a shadow walking over that way and disappeared. So we just had that. That brought that up to me. But
It's interesting the Hat Man. I did see a Hat Man in that apartment, and my roommate did as well. This thing was probably about 6 foot tall, very slender, just like people say the Hat Man looks like, right? Um, it 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 was a male spirit with a hat on. I kind of have a theory about why so many people see the Hat Man. But before I get into that, there was other things that I saw in that apartment as well. So it wasn't just one spirit in that house. But as far as Hat Man goes, it's very curious. You know how you go to all these different like hotels and things, they always have the story about the lady in white or the
mhm,
lady in red or whatever
yeah,
it may be. It's always
leg ray.
right, exactly. What if it was our typical time period of seeing these spirits seemed to be Victorian age? And if you kind of study what these people wore back in that day and you're only seeing like a silhouette because that's how they manifest themselves, um, people wore hats back then. The men all wore those top hats. I
Yep.
really think that that could account for probably 80% of these hat man phenomena that we hear about. But that's just my theory.
Right. That's where I thought too. Yeah. So, so you want to talk about your how you look about your spirit art?
I can talk about the spirit art. Spirit art developed over the last couple of years. I've been working with a teacher in the spiritualist church, and he's a very well known spirit artist. And it's kind of very much like doing mediumship work, except for you're drawing what it is you're seeing. So if I was to sit down with you one on one, I would sit down with you for about 15 minutes and let the spirit just come in and whatever comes in to communicate with me, I'm able to draw it out. Does that make sense? And then I don't really allow clients to ask me any questions or even tell me anything that they're actually looking for. I don't want to know people's names or anything. I just want them to sit and I just wait for spirit to come in and then I tell them whatever does come in. And then after, I always write the notes and stuff on the side of the photos and things like that. And then the person's able to ask me questions and vice versa. But they always end up looking like stuff like this. Like I just did this for a client.
Mhm.
This was a brother of hers. But that's typically what you get. It's just a sketch. It's not like a famous painting by Rembrandt or anything that you would hang on your wall or something like that. But that's it. And then I'll actually paint these sometimes for clients that want them painted. Let me see if I can find another one in here. Yeah, here's another one that I did.
Oh, okay.
So this was an older gentleman from like 1906 from a coast town. And again, that was for another client. So that's kind of what I do. I'm able to, because I'm so visual when I do speak, when I work with spirit, I see the visual side of it and they're kind of like flashes. And so I use that with my artistic ability to sketch what I'm seeing. And then what it does is it kind of gives the client what we call evidential mediumship, to where it's kind of validating what I'm picking up for them. So they're able to see their loved ones come through on a whole different level.
All right. Talking about that, I have I think a woman here with me. I think I might have brought back from somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Cause dumb me, I don't suggest this to anybody, but I did a little EP session and I picked her up. But it just shouldn't bother me. I mean, I know she's here. Sometimes stuff will happen. But knock on the door, I hear a lot. I'll go out and ask for them why they're knocking on the door. It's never either both asleep or, I hear these knocks. But I actually picked one of my shows before. I picked the shadow going behind me. And that was weird. So I did it in slow mo and fast. I'll stand to you after the show to look at it. But yeah, I think there's somebody here. I think it's female. So
But do you know where you picked it up from?
I, I it was had to be at least 4 or 5 years ago because at my last apartment building, I was doing dishes and like there's a hallway with the walk into the hallway down to the bathroom, bedrooms. I was doing dishes. I looked over and I was doing go right by. And yeah, I saw her in the other apartment. So I think she came with me. I kind of mind. It bothered me. I do something about it, but every once in a while, I'll know she's here. Or I'll get a whiff of perfume or something, but uh,
Do you think that she's maybe your relatives, one of your past relatives?
um, I don't know. I mean, I have very lucid dreams, and I get a lot of visits in my dreams from a lot of my friends who died, and some friends. My one friend I see all the time in my dreams. We talk a lot in my dreams and stuff, and um, but no, well, we did a podcast a while back, and we talked about a friend of mine that back when we did investigations, 3 years back before I started that, I worked at a graphic arts place. I got real good friends with this girl. It was we some friends, and we got a lot and partied a bit. And I went to work one day at the weekend on Monday, and her best friend was crying. I'm like, "What happened?" She goes, "That SOB killed her." I'm like, "What?" Her husband killed her. Um, she stabbed her. He stabbed her. He stabbed her on the kitchen floor. And I'm like, what I'm getting at is that a couple of years, maybe 3 or 4 years down the road, when I started getting back into ghost hunting, many years after, we were doing residential cases, and we were doing an interview, and they said there's a murderer at this house. I'm like, what? And they said what happened, and I told them her name, and then he said that's who it was that lived there. So that was the weird investigation. We picked some stuff up of her, but that just freaked me out.
Gotcha. Well, I mean, do you have abilities yourself?
At last when I saw her, not so much, but I have more sense now. I'm more empathic now. I can feel stuff, go in and a lot better now than I'm more into it, less skills now.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I can tell. Like there was one time we do an investigation ships in back in Exton, PA, and we got a basement. I went down in there, and I walked in there with my friend, other investigator, and I started crying. I started feeling like my body is on fire. And so we had a medium. She didn't make it that trip, So I went out of the basement when I started to cool down a little bit. I sat down, picked the table, I was shaking and stuff. Trying to come down. I said, I'm not going back to the basement again. I was doing it. So we went back to the reveal to show what we got. So I went downstairs. The media called us and said she'll go. I was feeling that there was a fire there, and somebody may have lost their life there. And we found out that we went down the basement and looked up, and there's still some charred timbers on top of the thing. So I was feeling what something happened to somebody there.
It's interesting. I feel
Yeah,
like everybody has some ability to tap into the other side, whether they're medium or not. I just feel like maybe some people might not be as trained or may not be as open to it. But I do believe everybody possesses some ability to tap into the other side. Everyone's interconnected on a conscious level. So,
yeah. I actually got this book a couple weeks ago and get into it about out of body experiences. It's something happened, and it's always the same thing. Like um, I'm always flying, right? And I'll lie in this field like I'm running on this tall, what was like wheat field, whatever, and I'm running towards the mountain, snow-capped mountain, and then up there and I wake up. It's like a all time. I never got to anywhere like another country or anything yet, but I'm gonna try to get that book, try to be more in tune, and see if I
mhm.
can be more in tune and see if I can get further than that. Cause I always stop at the same place where I go. So I don't know. But
Well, there's
I have very lucid dreams too. It's kind
have
of
you
scary.
have you ever tried to do just meditational stuff to try to tap into the other side?
No, no, I
Because you
haven't.
can absolutely practice doing that.
What the? I was looking at because on Monday look back, there was something about a method you used that would help with your chakra, that kind of stuff. So let's say maybe help will do that with chakra, your third eye. So yeah, I'm gonna try anything. So I wake up exhausted every day because while I'm dreaming, I'm not feel like I'm dreaming because my dreams are so lucid. I get up and like, did I just do that? I asked my wife, did I do something new? I said, well, I thought I did. Something stupid like that. It's so weird.
Or maybe you just astro travel all night.
Yeah, I was that was
People do that, you know.
that's the book. That's the book I'm getting. Astral Travel. I have it.
Mhm.
I have to download it. But yeah, I get up to a certain point, but it's weird because I feel up and then you come right back down. And I always wake up with a jolt, you know.
Hmm.
Like it scares.
That's kind of like the jolt when you're coming back on into this plane.
Yeah, it's like because I go up, come back down again. But I woke up. I was sleeping out of the chair because of my back and stuff. So I have a glass of soda, and I woke up. I went. I knocked on the floor all over the place.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, it's kind of scary sometimes because you don't know.
And
I want to try to get further if I can.
there's a lot of books and things that you can read that can help you get into that frequency to better control your dreams. There's I forget it's Robert Monroe.
Oh,
So
I heard him.
yeah,
No, no, yeah.
he's got a series of books where he was trying to take control of his dreams because he felt like every night he was astro traveling somewhere to meet with other spirits. And so he had this whole thing like he kept a dream journal, and one night he would go and try to reach this one level, and then he would report back, and then the next night he would build on that, and he kept building and building on it until he was able to actually control where he was going in his dreams. It's really cool how he did it. I can't remember the name of the book, but he's written I think two or three of them, and they're all kind of on those along those lines. If you look up Monroe, you'll find him.
Yep, I've had sometimes that I realize I'm Jew and I could do stuff there when I'm lucid. But that's so different than up and down stuff I could do.
He's
But
actually he started the Gateway program as well, the Monroe Institute Gateway program for remote viewing.
you know, I would have had spoil that. Well, the name sounds familiar. I can't remember that. I'll definitely look that up.
And there's
Yeah.
another guy too that you might like, Dr. Raymond Moody. He writes a lot about he writes a lot about out of body experiences and life after death. He does a lot of research on that.
What's in it? Ray and what?
Dr. Raymond Moody,
Oh, oh
Moody.
yeah, somebody told about him too. Many years ago, Ray and Moody. Yep, I have it on my notes over there.
Yeah, he's. I think there's two of his books that.
Yeah, yeah. I
In
can't
fact,
remember.
I think I have them right here. Yeah, they're right here actually.
Lightning Rod. Yeah, that's the one I saw.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I get that one.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
I
he does
should get,
a lot.
I should get it on but I can't get them on Kindle because my eyes get tired sometimes. I'll buy a book every once in a while. I got their Kindles and sometimes my eyes get blurry and I'll do text this piece for a little bit and then back to reading again. Yeah, so that's how I do. I like to read a lot of that kind of stuff.
that was. I like to read a lot, but for me, back in the day, that's how I was trying to figure a lot of this stuff out because there really wasn't anyone to talk to about it. So it was a good way to try to figure things out a little bit. But I'm an avid reader anyway. That's when I go
Yeah,
to sleep at night. That's what I do. I just get up, read, or paint, one of the two.
yeah, that's what I do. I still that for I read to fall asleep. And when I used to go out and go over EVP evidence, I do headphones and have it come nodding off with a little marker. If I come back to it then, but yeah, I like to read a lot. Um, I was folklore for a while. I was getting this, Um, metaphysics, I never really got into. It's one thing I didn't get into.
It's an interesting field because it really explains, and I really think it's important to the paranormal world because quantum physics, to be exact, because it explains the different energy levels and frequencies. And if you really look at it from the quantum physics side, it really proves that there is energy that exists after death. So I really feel like it's something that the paranormal field needs to look into a little more because it's a lot. It also explains like spiritualism, and there's a lot of studies that's been done with the brain as well, with DMT and the pineal gland. Um, a lot of doctors now think that that's how we're able to communicate on or tap into the other side is because of that phenomena. So I feel like there's a lot more doctors coming out with this stuff. The more that the world becomes open to it, a lot more research. I've been seeing a lot more journals and things in the medical journals, a lot of abstracts and research that's being done by great doctors that's coming out in the medical journals, which was unheard of just a few years ago. So we're coming a long way.
All right, so always this. Um, many years since like in the field, like back when I was in high school and this kind of stuff, and people were like, "You're weirdo," you know what? But back then, the libraries didn't have much on like demonology or any kind of paranormal stuff until many years after. But now there are tons of books now on it. Uh,
Yeah, I think paranormal world kind of needs to steer away from the entertainment side a little bit and
oh
get
my
back
god,
to
yeah,
the science
yeah.
side.
Don't get me started on that,
So,
really. Because we were offered to do a show when we first started off. That fits if we want to do a series, you'd like this founders kind of stuff. Do yes, sir. Look up and look at the contract and stuff, and they want us to go out and they want all rights to our material stuff, and what they do is make stuff up or whatever to make it more, you know, appealing to it. And at least we will stay out doing it, but if we get do an episode and we get absolutely nothing, then we won't be able to put that on as an
right.
episode. They get back to us.
But it takes hours to get any kind of evidence, first of
Oh
all.
god
It's not
damn.
like it is on TV. The paranormal field has just steered so much into the entertainment side, which is very unfortunate. It's important to have that because it really opened the world up to this phenomenon exist, but I think their time is done. I feel like we need to start steering into the actual research side and leave that Hollywood mess,
Yeah.
to Hollywood. And if you want to be a really serious paranormal investigator, start doing the research. It's not going to be on a TV show,
All right.
So that's all
I'll,
I'm going to say about that.
I've just some friends that do that, but they more talk. They do more technology stuff too. So they do their research. But like yeah, like a lot of ones that like I like the like my paranormal experience, that kind of stuff. Shows. Those
Yeah.
kind of ghost story show and stuff. Also I watched that for Hughes experiences. But
I
when they
like those shows too because it's I think what's happening is the entertainment side of things. You get these celebrities, and I'm not knocking any of the celebrities, but every single show becomes about them instead of the research or instead of the client's story. It becomes more about that celebrity. So I think that, hearing stories about my paranormal story and getting the real stories from real people is more important these days than
all right,
the celebrity work.
yeah, that's what I think too. That's why. Oh, it's empty. Sorry. Oh well. Enough how one. Sorry. I did remove it. Don't want to do it live right now, but
Did I make you cry? I'm sorry.
oh yeah, I'm sorry. It's my empath, emotions get to me. Yeah. Yeah. They could, you travel all around, right? Doing your
I
uh,
do. Yes, I've been all over the place. Been all over America. I don't know. One of my favorite places is probably Cusco Castle in Germany. There's a castle that's been built in the 15th century, and it's the only castle in the world that was built to keep stuff out or to keep stuff in versus keeping stuff out. And the story is back in the day, you had plague, the Black Plague going around. And so this town was affected by that. And they they didn't know anything about germs back then, but they did associate that something in the water was making them sick. There was a well there. And that's where all the villagers was getting their water, and everybody was falling ill and dying. And um Again, they assumed it was demons, demonic entities, and that was causing this. And so what they did was they built this big castle, particularly for Satan, to keep his demons in this castle. And over time, this castle becomes like the centerpiece for all of this occult activity for like centuries. So people would buy it and just start continued because they felt like if they would buy this castle, they could tap into that other side for whatever deed they wanted done, right? And
Mm-hmm.
so there's a chapel in there. There's a bunch of demonic figures and things all through it. The current owners now, of course, dedicated it to the satanic world. So there's like demonic paintings and stuff everywhere in there. So
Wow.
they're kind of carrying it on. But one of the things I want to talk about is that um, during the World War II, the Nazis actually took over this castle because Hitler, and they started doing experimentations because they felt like they might, if they could tap into this power that exists or believed to exist in this land, that they would win the war. So it went as far as that, and of course, they found a bunch of occult books in there that was written during the 15th century. Just all kinds of bizarre stuff happened in this place. So when we were there, they did, of course, the table tipping thing, and the table just spun in circles. Me and a couple other friends, we went down into the basement where this well actually existed, and there was this big upside down cross. You have to remember the current owners dedicated it to the satanic world. I don't know why you would do that, but they did.
Ah,
So there's this upside down cross there, and this thing is heavy. It's solid iron. It's about probably 6 foot long, and it's pretty heavy piece. It would take a lot to move it, and it just started swinging back and forth on its own, and there was no wind in there or anything. It was probably one of the strangest paranormal phenomena I've ever experienced in a place. And just the feelings that you got, I felt like I had to really do some cleansing work when I was done with that place. It just
oh,
has
that,
centuries of occult activity in there. And you have that energy that's just carried on and on and on for centuries. It's a very interesting place.
wow. Yeah, I'll know if I was in there. I like just said they. I think there's I don't remember what it is, but some people want investigations. They take a bath in something. I'm not sure what it is. Some kind of herb or something. Take a bath to get all bad energy off you. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
it's
what
a
it is, but
strange place. It's located in the Czechoslovakia, probably about 45 minutes outside of Prague.
mm-hmm.
So it's I definitely want to go back, and I don't know. I've had dreams about this place since, and kind of want to go back and do. I don't know what I want to do, but just being drawn back to that area for some reason. But I want to go back to Prague too. It's another interesting city full of just paranormal activity everywhere you go.
Yeah. I don't know Gallo country. I was wanting to go over to Ireland and Scotland and uh, go over and see it, the famous Grey Daddy ghost. Yeah, she's over there too. Because I think there's that famous tavern over there. I can't remember the name. Um, I'm in there. The Haunt Tavern somewhere there. I just stopped by. And so, do you have any more plans? I mean, like you said about traveling, but do you have more plans like um coming up? Do you doing kind of places or going to
Oh
like
yes, I have a whole
okay,
list of stuff I'm going to. So I'm going to San Francisco. to explore the underworld there. Pretty excited
Uh,
about that. That's
yeah.
coming probably in March. And then I'm doing a private event here in I live in Las Vegas, and so I have access to Goldfield and a bunch of other ghost towns, and I'm putting together a private event. It's going to be a ghost hunt with maybe 30 people, and we're going to investigate the hotel and Opry House, a library, and the cemetery in the school. So I'm going to have 30 people and breaking everyone down into groups of 5 or 6 and sending them to each location for a couple hours each night. So they'll just rotate in and out. Um, so we're going to run some experiences in Goldfield to do that. That's coming up probably um, late spring is when I'm going to do that. So if anyone out there wants to be a part of that, it is a private event. It's not going to be open to the public. You'll have to DM me, and I can see if I can get you in. Um, Another thing I have coming up, I am going back to overseas to explore Ireland and England, which I'm pretty excited about. So that's on my list too for this summer.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
see, if you could fit me in a suitcase, you can take me along.
So yeah, that's what I have coming up, and I'm pretty excited about it. I have a travel magazine I just put out, and it's a paranormal travel magazine. It's the only paranormal travel magazine out there right now. So it doesn't focus on celebrities and TV. It focuses on locations and legends and people's real stories. So it's a little different than what you typically see out there. And I don't know. That's what I like to do. Of course, I'm home for the next 3 months until I head back on the road for work. And in that time, it's a great time to explore Death Valley. So there's ghost
Oh,
towns
yeah.
all over the place, and that's what I do on the weekends.
Wow. You're a very busy girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to get back out again. It'll be a while. Or it gets to a couple weeks next year. Most things settle down a bit. I mean, everything going on now. But who knows what's going to happen next year? Yeah. So, is there any other experiences from vacations that you had besides your?
From Huska, you mean just from like anywhere I've been? I have
Sure.
loads. I have tons and tons of stuff. It seems like everywhere I go, but you know, here's the thing. You are going to find if you're looking for spirits anywhere, particularly if you're a medium or anyone that can communicate with the other side, you're
Mm.
going to find that kind of stuff anyhow, no matter where you go. You can go in your own backyard and pick up on spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So you really don't have to travel far. You don't have to go to expensive paracons or any of that kind of stuff. Um, but yeah, whenever I do travel, I do pick up on a lot of stuff. I just got back from Galveston, Texas. And in Texas, in Galveston, it's an old pirate town, first of all. So this guy named Jean Petit, I think is how you pronounce his name. He was a pirate from the 18th century. And what he was doing was he was stealing British ships, taking them down to Galveston because there was no law or anything there at that time. It wasn't owned by the states. And he built a fort there, and that's where he was keeping his loot. And at the time, Galveston was a little island, a swampland, basically. It was in the swamps. And so if you could picture it, here he is. He builds his fort in the middle of a swamp on like a little island kind of thing. And he's got all this expensive stuff that he got from these British ships. Well, this land, his foundation of the fort that he had and his house, he built like an island of loot and all kinds of stuff he had on there. But it was like a land of prostitutes and people that he would bring back, his crew, because it was like one of those merchant ships. And then he got the Spanish involved. So the Spanish were taking the British ships as well and taking them. And I guess he was selling the loot to the Spanish king or wherever it was going. I don't know. But he supposedly marries a voodoo queen who curses this land. And now this land is gated off. It's still pretty swampy there. But you can go there and you can see the foundation of where this fort was, where his house was. So finally, the guy gets caught, and instead of killing him, they let him move. So I guess he went to Cuba, and he ends up sinking his ship there, and then he burns down his house, which is why there's only a foundation. But
Huh.
Galveston built over it, and supposedly he curses the land. That voodoo queen that he married, so he called like three dogs, a three-headed dog or something that haunts the land. You can hear howling at night. So I go there looking for this, and of course, I didn't see spirit at all, but I did catch, and I even have the voice on an EVP. I have a man's voice speaking. I think it's French, like a broken French of some sort. It's not like a typical French that you would hear. Um, and I also caught like a woman's voice, but audibly, I heard on site when I was there, like an opera singer. It was the strangest.
Uh-uh.
Yeah, and it's so that happened. And then just last weekend, I went looking for and I'm just talking away, I'm sorry.
Go for it.
um,
That's
I,
what is why here.
I went to looking for this. I have full stories. This is what I do. I try to communicate with spirit, and then, I bring people back to life through writing. That's what I've done with Speaking to Shadows. But anyhow, there's this legend around the Old Spanish Trail where I live here, and supposedly there was a Indian chief who was waiting along the trail. It kind of goes up. I've hiked it. It goes up this mountain between California and Nevada because there's a couple springs along the way there, and there's one little spot in particular where I think this was happening. They would jump out. They would attack the I guess it was the Mormons that were coming through there at the time. They would attack the wagons, steal the horses and wagons, and kill all the people and take all the loot.
Jeez.
Then they would run down. They would run down the mountain, and then they would keep running, and they would take the stuff down into California, right across the line, and they had a cabin up in the mountain. It was tucked way in the mountain. You couldn't really get to them if you were to law or anything like that. It's perfect for them. And there's a spring there and everything. So I went looking for it. I wanted to know where this was. And after a couple attempts, I actually found it. So there's a cabin there. There's a spring. The cabin is from the cabin that's there now wasn't there when this was happening, but this cabin is from like the miners. So miners was there as well. I've found an old mining shaft, that sort of thing too. But where I'm going with this is that land has some kind of elemental on it. I don't know if it's like the Native Americans. I've heard this a lot where Native Americans are calling up elementals back then to protect their
Mhm.
land. You had a lot of gold miners and prospectors taking over everything out here. They didn't like it. The Paiutes and Shoney's didn't like it. So the legend is that they were calling up land spirits to keep the white man out. I believe that's still kind of happening because you go on this land and that's what you're feeling is elemental stuff. And I know that a lot of people kind of attribute it to the Irish because I used to think that too. Oh, the Fae, they only live out in Ireland, right? That's an Irish thing. That's not true. We have it in the States as well. This is what I'm learning. So I'm out there exploring this old log cabin kind of thing. That's what it is. It's a log cabin. And all of a sudden you just feel all these little entities all around you, but you can't communicate with them because they're not human. It's the creepiest thing. And I actually brought one back. It was in my house probably for about 48 hours afterwards. This thing was in the house. I was seeing it. It was keeping me up. And then finally I was able to clear it. And the friend that I had with me experienced the same thing. She actually has like something that set off her motion detector at night and had some other phenomena happen in her house. So we definitely believe that they were calling something up to protect them from getting caught or keeping the white man away or whatever it was, some kind of protection on that land that's still there from this um, from this horse thief. That's what they call them, the horse thieves. But just a really fascinating story, and just fascinating to be able to experience something like that anyway. But yeah, they were stealing and murdering the Mormons. They'd taken all their stuff and then running up into the mountain. And what they would do is they would sell the livestock and stuff to people traveling the Spanish Trail from the other side, from the California side. So very crooked.
Yeah, kill the Mormons.
Yeah, the way that got solved was he finally got caught. The chief finally gets caught by Brigham Young, who takes him on back to Utah. And then from there, he kind of turned him into a good man somehow. I'm not sure exactly how that story goes down, but he doesn't kill him or anything. He kind of like almost rehabs him into a better
That's,
person.
that's actually that fun. One of the Indian spirit protectors of the woods is called Wendigo.
The spirit shapeshifters.
I think that was some of the Indians, I think, that protect the woods. Wendigo, I think one of them.
I have no idea. I really don't know the differences between. There's so many of them out here in the Southwest. I used to just think that it was skinwalkers,
Well,
but when
that's the basic Wendigo is single walkers. So, yeah, especially Sam. So,
there's when you talk to different tribes out here, first of all, they're reluctant to talk about it, but when you do find someone that will talk about it, they'll you find that there's many different segments of these spirits. You have skinwalkers, you have shapeshifters. I guess they're different. You have that what you just said, the
Wendigo.
yes, the Wendigos, and then you have these other land spirits as well, and they're all kind of in the tribal system. You also have giants too
Yeah,
out here. So, which is another spirit being that they believed. So, you just have all this activity. And one tribe actually, one of the people from one tribe told me that what happened is you had these men come out that were prospecting. They didn't like it. You had all these different tribes out here that owned this land and lived here. It was sacred to them. And they believed the white man was calling up like spirits of greed and that sort of thing. And that's what caused a lot of the elemental energy that you see today in the ghost towns. So it's pretty interesting.
yeah. And then there's Bigfoot.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any reports about Bigfoot around here. Maybe up,
So,
um, maybe around Reno. I don't know.
um, I don't know. I just started getting a few years back into more research like the UFOs and cryptids and that kind of stuff. Get more, into that. So, anyway, up in New York investigation, we picked up some weird, strange noises in the woods. Sounded horrible.
Like
And,
a screaming.
yeah, like Bigfoot's, and we got it on tape. And it's freaky.
Hmm.
But I think I bad off something and just do it then.
The Native Americans' take on it is very different than ours. They're not afraid of it, but they're respectful of it.
Mm-hmm.
So they're always like, if you go into a place like that, they always tell me to, and I have to tell you this story. I went looking for another ghost town. That's one of my favorite pastimes. And This one you had to hike into for several hours to get to it, and so you because the road is so when you have to realize none of these roads are paved; they're all dirt roads. Once you get off of 95 or 93 or whatever three roads that lead out of Vegas, they turn into dirt roads. They're wagon trails. And so when you're heading up into the mountains, a lot of times they get washed out from rain and that sort of thing. So you can't just drive up to them. So I park at the bottom of the mountain and try to hike up to this ghost town that exists up there. And along the way, a horse, a baby colt, stops me and it just starts like doing laps around my car. And so I get out of the car going, what do you want? Where's your mom at? It's like a baby horse. And then it just runs off down the road. And so I look, and there's 5 dolls around this Joshua tree. And every single one of them is bound, with their hands behind their
Mm,
back. There's like burn holes all through them. They had some kind
mm.
of organic material stuffed in them. Who would do that far out in the middle of nowhere like that? This is deep into the basin park area where it's, the least visited park in the United States. And it's out there, hours away from anything. Who would go out there and do some kind of ritual like that?
Oh, that's scary.
Yeah. And so it kind of messed me up for a while. And again, I talked to Native American people, and they kind of taught me how to, one lady in particular told me how to clear that energy off. And she told me, it was people trying to call up water babies. And it's actually cursing people, is how she explained it. She said that it was like, I walked into somebody's bad spell work that they were doing on somebody else.
So, what's a water baby?
It is a spirit that they call forth. It's, again, just like the elementals, you can call forth a water baby, and there's this whole thing behind it. And I'm not exactly sure, but you can, it's almost like a voodoo thing. You can control it to do your bidding. It can kill people. It's very much like a skinwalker. You can do
Hmm.
all these different things. And that's what she told me I walked in on. And so she believed I had picked up all that energy from this, whatever was happening. And so she kind of taught me how to go in with a different mindset. You're not to fear it. You're not to disrespect it in any way. You're supposed to respect it and leave offerings for those
Hmm.
elementals. So that's kind of, I try to do that now. But yeah, there's so many different Native American spirits and things out here.
Yeah, no, up in New York, we went to the Hinsdale house, and there was a giving tree out back, and it's for the Native Americans. So they like your tobacco, so we put some tobacco out there for them. Yeah, it's nice too out there because it's like a lot of people up there and travel around and or for their land. So it's a lot of activity comes from just the land. I mean, it doesn't have to be the house itself.
A lot of times it is just the land. Like, have you ever seen that The Demon House by Zach Bagans?
Yeah, yeah,
That house in Gary that he talks about.
yeah.
And he thought that he could clear that land by tearing it down. Um, I don't think that you can ever clear land by just tearing down a building. I think
All
stuff
right.
gets attached to that land.
Yeah. Sometimes that long, we get talk doing that. Uh, yeah. Sometimes just shouldn't screw that be. So we always um, give her respect and everything too over there. And say hey, we're here for this. We're not here to harm or anything. We're here to learn more about about you and your reality problems. Uh, yeah. Wow. How are you doing? Doing pretty good. It's about time here. Um, are you working on anything else? Projects or anything?
So I do have that magazine that's coming out this week on the 9th at erieexpeditionsmagazine.com. And I am supposed to do a couple paracons this year. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that or not. It's still up in the air. And then I am working on a new book, and that should be released probably this summer. So pretty
Awesome.
exciting.
Well, if you get a chance to come out to the um, reformatory next May, like if I can see you out there, I'll make you out there again.
Is that in Ohio?
Yeah,
Where's that at?
let's say it's on Reformatory Road. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not fun. They have speakers and all you can do, and a lot of vendors set up. It's a lot of fun. Get to tour the cells in prison.
Now, is that the same one that was in Shawshank Redemption?
Yes, yeah. They have all the for the movie props in there too.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, yeah. A lot of fun.
Hmm.
Yeah. They have the cardboard stand ups.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it is. Um, that's something else. Well, I mean, even if you get shit so high, like, we'll probably fucking get together and do something. I could probably find something to do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do try to meet up with people when I do travel. I try to meet up with people for lunch or dinner or something
Yeah,
just to see
we,
who people are.
we do that. Yeah, that's fun. There's a bunch of places around here. Tons. Well, are we wrapped up here? The podcast will be available on Spotify, um, iHeart, Amazon Music, and Pandora.
Okay, I'll definitely look for it.
And I will put all your info in the comment section, or your website and all your other social links that they give me in the
Okay.
email. So, well, I had a blast. I have to get back on again. So much fun having you on tonight.
Thank you so much for doing this.
And,
Thank you for letting me
and
be a part of your show.
sure, I love your stories and and get together with like-minded people. I mean, it's hard to do with what's going on the paranormal day, so it's
Yeah,
nice to talk to somebody about it and feel comfortable. Um,
it's there's a lot of changes going on with the paranormal world right now. So I think it's going to get better soon.
yeah,
Just, hit a couple rough spots, but it's going to even out.
yeah, I feel well.
So,
Okay, um, thanks again for coming on, and
thank you for having me.
sure, and I'll keep in contact with you, and I have some stuff I'll send you
Okay,
to look at. Okay, sound good?
sounds great. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, next time, happy horning, everyone.